Hi guys, good afternoon, and how you guys doing? Let me introduce myself first. My name is Rifyata Faila, and today I'm going to show you some kinds of really big problems in our world. And before we go to the problems, so this is the kinds of titles that we're going to talk about. This is Indonesia needs to engender cooperations as a head of a global climate groups. Okay, before we go to the topics, so I'm going to give you a pictures that is relate with these kinds of topics. Let's check this out. Okay, what do you guys think about these kinds of pictures? Yep, I found these pictures on a website that I've already put the link on it, and there was a woman dives in the depth of the oceans in order to deliver a demonstrations to the government to describe the authority and the policy regarding the climate. The writing on the cardboard that she made is talking about youth strike for climate. This means that it is not only these women who take the same actions, but there are many people and groups around the world who are struggling to voice the issue with this climate this day. Oh my God, this is the real of today's nowadays problems. Okay, we go to the next. And what is the climate change is? So climate change that is caused by either directly or indirectly by human activities. So as to change the compositions of the global atmosphere and the climate variability natural over comparable with the time periods. The UNFCCC or the United States Framework Conventions of Climate Change say that it could give an impact such as a high rainfall, the dry season is prolonged, and also it increased the water volume due to the melting polar ice caps, the occurrence of a natural disaster, a tornado wind, and of course this could be reduce the water resources. Oh my God. So what does the UNFCCC do? As you can see that UNFCCC is a organizations that handling for a climate changes problems in United States. Of course, they facing still struggling to the concert climate actions, including the global trading carbon, the climate finance pledges around the developed and also the developing countries. And of course, implementing climate programs is a costly endeavor. So pushing the developing countries to make the climate actions without the financial assistance is really impossible. So we need the coordinations and the work team between the International Forum in Economics. For example, just like Group 20, IMF, and also World Bank for facing together these climate change problems around the world. The world has witnessed how difficult is it to obtain a deliberative commitments across the globe on a climate actions. So the UNFCCC made these coalitions in order to the first strengthen and complement the UNFCCC. It was established on April 2019. And of course, there are 52 Ministry of Economics, and the mate of these coalitions is in response to the limited space from the finance ministers in the UNFCCC. And the good news is Indonesia was elected as a co-chair of the coalitions along the Finland. So I think this is one of the really great steps for Indonesia to show the world also that we could do and face it together. And I really highly appreciate for Indonesia for this kinds of a really great mandate. So how to plan these climate programs? So the first is, of course, you should change the paradigm. In order to what? Of course, this is to influence the way that the finance ministers view the climate change and incorporate it in their economic policies. As we can see that around the world. There are so many countries, there are so many developing countries around the world. So maybe these kinds of climate change problems is really expensive to solve. So that's why we gathered all the Ministry of Economics in these coalitions together in order to make a coalitions between them and talking about the next program that we are going to talk in this coalition for facing this climate change that is going to be economic policies in their countries later. Okay, the second is increase the impact of the coalitions. Of course, after this coalitions is made, there must be a series of strategies and make it as a pressure into a global governance policies. And the third is connect the dots. Connecting the coalition agenda forum can make it more effective. Just like I've told you before that UNFCCC have already have a correlations with the international economics forums, just like IMF, G20, and also the World Bank for facing this climate change. In order to make it more effective, these coalitions could make uh, the idea gathered between those big organizations and the coalitions together, so make it more effective for facing these kinds of problems. Okay, so what kinds of the existing challenge, yeah, that the coalitions have? Okay, this is combining the interests of a developed and developing countries among its membership, just like I've told you that we have a really lots of countries around the world that are developed and also developing countries. Of course, they don't have a really same policies in their economic. So this is so what the challenge of these coalitions, how to solve these kinds of problems, how to share these kinds of informations and change the paradigm of the economic ministry to face this problem as a make it as one of the policy of their next economics policies in their countries. And of course, as Indonesia has already chosen as the delegations of the co-chair of that coalitions, I think it's not really an easy task for Indonesia. But I think it doesn't mean that it's really impossible for Indonesia to succeed in this new mandate. I believe that all of us are gathered together to face these kinds of problems, start from little things in our life. I think this is really could give really big impact in Indonesia, even though Indonesia is still a developing countries. So let's sum up for today's talking. This is going to talk about our climate change, just like I've told you before. So the point of my presentations is talking about climate change. So the UNFCCC wants to make a coalitions between the ministry Ministry of Economics in order to change their paradigm, because these kinds of problems of climate change is one of the expensive problems to solve. So that's why the UNFCCC wants to gather the developed and also the developing countries around the world to face these kinds of problems together and sharing the informations about this and make after change the paradigm for the economics of the ministry and make one of the strong strategies in their economics policies, so that could make a big impact for this facing problem of climate change. Okay, that's the point of our presentation today. Thank you for participating in my presentation. Thank you for your attentions, and thank you so much.